Best brain inflammation protocol for ADD, brain fog, and brain fog issues.
Oh, that's marvelous. And that's a really good question. And that's an easy answer. The test is the NeuralZoomer Plus to identify how much inflammation you have and what type of inflammation. And then work with someone like Michelle to get the triggers out of there causing that inflammation. There's no magic pill to take. You have to find out, how are you throwing gasoline on the fire? And, oh, come on, just tell me what to take. There's no, you keep throwing gasoline on the fire, then it's like a dog that's chasing its tail. I feel a little better. It's back. I feel a little better. Oh, it's back. I feel a little better. Oh, it's back. And so you have to identify, where is the inflammation coming from that's manifesting itself in my brain. And so I've got cognitive decline or whatever the symptoms are. So the NeuralZoomer Plus is the go-to test in the world. I just agreed today I'm going to do a talk about that test in London in June, because they don't know about that test yet. And if you've been following us for a while, you've heard us talking about it. I hope everyone gets that test done, because when you see that you've got inflammation in your brain right now, then if you've been following us for a while, then you ask the question, where's my inflammation coming from? And then you start to address that. And then you wait 6 months to a year, and then you check again and you see those inflammatory markers are gone. Or if you had 12 markers out of the 48 to begin with, which is a brain on fire, and you check in a year and you've got 3, you say, oh, wow, that's a whole lot better, but there's still these 3. Let's get these 3 down. So you're able to follow your progress. So,
and just order WheatZoomer and NeuralZoomer Plus together. Get the combo, because when I do the interp, I'm going to recommend that you have a WheatZoomer if anything's out of range on NeuralZoomer Plus, because I haven't seen anyone heal a NeuralZoomer Plus if they have gluten issues. Right. And it's also really important to know if you have intestinal permeability, and that panel is that's not available on any other test, the intestinal permeability panel on WheatZoomer. So you really need both of those, but you're spot on, Dr. Tom. That NeuralZoomer Plus is just one of the best investments. And so often people come and they're like, I'm so nervous for this test interp and my results. And it's a directional test. It lets you know if you are headed in a direction you don't want to go. And it's so great to catch that 20, 30 years before you end up at a destination that you don't want to be.
It was the National Institute of Health that brought a scientific advisory panel together in 2019, so a couple of years ago. And they produced a document with a diagram that shows that the inflammation in the brain begins and it goes on for over 20 years before you have any symptoms. Then you start having some symptoms like, I don't remember where I put my keys, or what lane did I park the car in? That goes for another 7 to 10 years. Then you eventually, at that point, get diagnosed with mild cognitive decline and early Alzheimer's. But for 25 to 30 years, this is going on before you've got symptoms. And when you understand that concept, you do the NeuralZoomer Plus, and you do it right away, because it's probably going to come back and say, your brain's on fire, which will scare the hell out of you, which it should. But then you ask the question, why is my brain on fire? And you start reading, and you start asking experts, and you work with people like Michelle to guide you into looking down. Well, let's look down this avenue. Let's look down here. Here's the most common things to look for first on the checklist. And rarely is it one of the weird ones where, no, there's no foods, no, there's no mold, no, there's no emotional problem. Rarely. That usually you can identify it fairly quickly as to where the trigger is. And that makes all the difference in the world in calming down your inflammation, or your sons if it's ADD or autism.